This should only take about 20 minutes, and then at the end of it, I'm going to chill out and answer some questions. So there is a chat window open on my side, so if you do have a question, fire it off. May not have too many today. This isn't going to be product related or program related. I have the good fortune of sharing a sales technique that I've learned many moons ago, and looking forward to passing it off to you guys. So again, it's 12:02. Let's get this party started. Probably go about 20 minutes Q&A at the end, and then we'll wrap. So here we go. Let me just pop one screen up on the right-hand side. The name of this session is Persuasive Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. We use these items in our weekly sales meeting. We try and incorporate them into storytelling, and we always start off one good thing at the front end of our sales meetings with something that happened throughout the week as it relates to a sales success, a customer doing something awesome, a reseller having an epiphany, or whatever it might be. So from that, we came up with the idea to share these items with you guys today. So the idea is to keep your sales toolbox close, sharp, and powerful. And these might be topics you've certainly heard before. Maybe it's the first time for these. So in thinking about where to use the stuff we talk about, don't limit it to like conventional sales where it's face-to-face. So the stuff that you're going to learn today, gosh, that'd be great if I was meeting with a prospect sitting across the table. Well, that's awesome. So face-to-face conversations would work perfect for this. If you're going to leave a voicemail, why not incorporate one of these techniques as well, right? So if it's worth doing, let's be exceptional at it. Let's leave a voicemail that creates curiosity, that generates excitement, and that actually makes somebody call us back. If you're going to fire off an email, I encourage you to use these tips, tricks, and techniques as well. Again, it's simple. I think you'll get a lot of stuff out of what we're doing today. And also for your marketing teams that are using social media or who are developing your proposal templates or who are updating, LinkedIn, these are also other areas in which you could use this. So without further ado, let's talk about what these things are. So there's a category for them, and it's called automatic compliance mechanisms. And they're essentially principles of persuasion. It's kind of a daunting title, automatic compliance mechanism. It's a tool that leads to some form of persuasion, and there are names for them. So here's the deal. Researchers have been studying these factors that influence us to say yes to the requests of others for 60-some years. And there's no doubt that there's a science to how we are persuaded, and a lot of this science is surprising. So when we make a decision, it would be nice to think that people consider all the available information in order to guide their thinking. But the reality is it's very different. In this increasingly overloaded lives that we lead, more than ever, we need shortcuts, or we need to understand the shortcuts that our customers take when they make decisions that guide their decision making. So we've identified 6 of them, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So understanding these shortcuts and employing them in an ethical manner can significantly increase the chances that someone will be persuaded by your request. Let's take a closer look at each one. The first one is liking. I think we all get that one. If somebody doesn't like you, they're probably not going to buy from you. So I'm not going to teach you today how to be liked. I'm going to give you a quick tip to help you understand what that looks like. Part 2 is reciprocity, the need to reciprocate. We'll talk about how heavy that is in the sales process. Part 3 is authority. That one makes sense, right? So members of authority, we introduce somebody. This gentleman is the authority on whatever topic. There's a reason why we do that one. Scarcity, kind of cool. We'll talk about why people want things they can't have access to more than something that's in an abundance and the value that we place on them. Also, commitment and consistency. This will be a fun one. I've got some great examples. And then finally, social proof, which is also referred to as consensus. So let's get into the first one, and we're going to call it the Socratic Opener. So when it comes to liking, I'm going to give you a specific tool to use when you're starting a conversation with a prospect. Let's start with Socrates. This dude, man, you remember him from school. His pals called him the big thinker. And while that might be a compliment, it actually got him kicked out of his hometown of Lexington, Kentucky. Yeah, Socrates, originally from Kentucky. And one day while living in Kentucky, he had an epiphany. So if memory serves me correctly, I think he was hanging out with Ben Franklin when lightning finally struck, or I can't remember the exact story, but he decided one day that he was the smartest person on the planet because he realized he knew so little. So from this point forward, he dedicated his super annoying life to asking all of his friends the world's toughest questions. And so here's the thing. He asked a lot of questions, and he made zero assumptions. And here is the Socratic Opener. All right, so I'm here today to review, to understand, or to explain these items. In other words, I have an agenda. I want to know about your current situation. I want to review this proposal. I want to talk to you about how we've helped other businesses just like yours. But what's most important to me is what you'd like to accomplish. If you could bring me up to speed on what's transpired since we last talked, how you'd like to move forward with our discovery, or what we need to do to earn your business. So if I could condense that down, it'd be, I'm here today to review my agenda. What's most important is what you want to cover. If you could share that with me, we'll start there first. And that's it. It's simple. It shows that I'm prepared. Here are my agenda items. It's about me. It's not about me, though. I apologize. It's not about me. You go first. And then the key here, and I think one of the most important parts of this is what happens next, and that's to be a good listener. So this is called the Socratic Opener. And again, I'm here to discuss these things, but what's most important is what you want to accomplish. And there's a ton of ways to ask this. The key for you is to sit in that meeting with your prospect or customer, and you're about to get into your noon meeting. It's to approach it with, I have these items to share, to cover, to review. But you know what? It's most important that you share with me what's on your list. What else should we talk about? What else should I talk about? You know, that's pretty much it. So in order for this to be effective, we need to do ladder listening, and I'll go through these pretty quick. And the letters in ladder stand for each one. So I need you to listen with intention. In other words, remove distractions, make eye contact. Be intentional about your listening. 2, ask open-ended questions. Tell me about, how did you guys? What's the story around? What's it mean to you if? Okay? And when you get the answers, don't interrupt. Let them go. Count to 1 before you respond. This shows that what they're trying to say and get out is more important than what you'd like to say next. There's a saying that says, the only reason I'm listening is because I know at some point you'll stop talking. And, you know, don't get caught up in that. Don't interrupt. Here's the next D. Don't change the subject. Stay on it until you're sure the onion's been peeled. Is there anything else I should know about that? E, empathy over sympathy. This is a cool one. Walk a mile in their shoes. Don't think about it from your perspective. Think about how the person must have been affected emotionally or how they feel about their current situation. Sympathy is saying, I've been in a similar situation. Let me tell you my story that could relate to what you just said. You put the pressure right back on you. Don't do that. And finally, respond verbally and non-verbally. So there's a saying that when the other person stops nodding, it's time to move on. So Socratic probes are the second part of the opening. It's where you say, tell me more. You say things like, no kidding, or wow. Well, why do you say that? Huh, really? And those are Socratic probes. So to keep the conversation going. So that's liking, and I think that's a great tool. Start with the opening and then really hone your skills on the listening side. It's a very persuasive technique, okay? During this process, you are not selling anything but you. You're a great listener. You care about the prospect, your spouse, your kids, whatever that conversation's about. And tell you what, it's not just about software. It also works for Windows. I have a good friend. He's got a cadence of open-ended questions, and he moves through this sequence methodically for each one. And when he's on site, he asks these questions in this order. How long has your house been here? How long have you been here? Have you done any shopping? Have you seen anything you liked? Tell me about that. And he works his way through it. And at the end of it, it's called set your agenda, set your inspection. Okay, that's a fun one. That's liking. I lead with that one because it's been determined that without liking, all the ones that follow are meaningless. The next one, reciprocity, the need to reciprocate. Simply put, people are obliged to give back to others the form of a behavior, a gift, or a service that they have received first. I'll use an example. If a friend invites you to their party, there's an obligation for you to invite them to a future party that you're hosting, right? Like it or not, if you want to, maybe your wife talked you into going to their party, but if you're going to host a party, you can be sure to know that you're going to have to invite them to yours. If a colleague does you a favor, then you owe that colleague a favor. And in the context of a social obligation, people are more likely to say yes to those who they owe. Okay, so this is one of those, you got to be sneaky about it. Now, I'll give you an example. The last time you were in a restaurant, there's a good chance the waiter or waitress gave you a gift. And it could have been in the form of a recommendation. You order the fish, they scratch their chin and say, you know what, it's not so good tonight. If I were you, people have been raving about the smoked pork chops. If that's something you're interested in, I would highly recommend it. Cool, thanks for the favor. I appreciate you bringing me up to speed on that. Sometimes it's a birthday liqueur or a cake, something at the end of the night. Sometimes it's as simple as a mint, right? So here's the question. When the waiter gives you a mint, does it have any influence over how much tip you're going to leave them? Most people will say no. Makes no sense. But that mint can make a surprising difference. In the study, giving diners a single mint at the end of their meal typically increased tips by about 3%. This is the Pizza Hut philosophy. That's why they always drop those mints on the table. Interestingly enough, if the gift is doubled and 2 mints are provided, tips don't double, they quadruple. They go up about 14%. But here's what's most interesting. When the waiter provides 1 mint, starts to walk away from the table, pauses, turns back and says, hey, for you nice people, here's an extra mint. Tips go through the roof. It's almost a 23% increase, influenced not by what was given, but how it was given. So the key to using the principle of reciprocity is to be the first to give and to ensure what you give is personalized and unexpected, right? That's what it is. I have worked with reps who make Otis Spunkmeyer cookies in the oven in the dealership before they head out to their call. And when they show up, it smells delicious, it's warm, and it's a gift for that customer. And all they were doing was following up on the last meeting, making sure everything's going well. So to wrap up reciprocity, simply put, people are obliged to give back to others in the form of the gift or service they received first. Okay, one of my favorites, authority. And yes, that's Carmen, I get it. The key here is you can't expect people to respect your authority unless you establish it first. Okay, so titles matter. So if you want to establish authority, years of experience for both you and your company, don't forget to share those during meetings. It establishes your position of authority so that when you make a recommendation, it doesn't come out of left field. If you're a sales rep, that's a title. And the question is, what type of authority does that carry? Solutions consultant, if we work up the hierarchy of importance, perhaps that's next. Introduce yourself as a document imaging analyst. Wow, okay, that's interesting. I've been doing this for 10 years. Our company's been in business for 45. We've helped over 6,000 clients just like you. You're establishing authority. So it's an important part of the sales process, okay? If you think about it, there are people in positions that wear uniforms like lab coats or the cops or mechanics with a certification on their shirt. You know, they could be whatever their Chevy Motors or GM certification is 25, hitting this level of certification. That makes me feel much better about that person working on my car. That same guy who was talking about the window company, when he is walking a house doing an inspection, he says, do you mind if my guy with 25 years experience puts his ladder up there? Who's going to say no to that? He just established authority. The person has 25 years of experience. What they find, what they come back with, what they share and recommend will be based off of 25 years of experience. Finally, I think it's the key to earning you the right to ask questions and make recommendations. So authority is a key part in all of this. Okay? All right, let's keep going. I'm running out of time. The next one, scarcity. Let's talk about scarcity. But hurry quick while supplies last. How many times have you seen that? Whether it's on TV, if it's an infomercial for Flex Seal, right? They're always running out. They can never keep enough inventory. Here's one from the Home Shopping Network. I thought this was kind of cool because it shows today's special. So it uses a word like this is finite. It's only today that we're running this thing. Oh, but hurry up. It stops in 9 minutes and 35 seconds. Is this an exclusive offer? Oh, it is. It says exclusive right there. So it absolutely is exclusive, and it ends soon. So scarcity, right? I mean, this is a fun one. So let's talk about it in its longer format. So it's about fear of loss, which is a greater motivator than the idea of gaining something. People who sell insulation knew years ago that if you told someone they could gain $50 a month with better insulation, it wasn't as powerful as saying you're losing $50 a month right out of your pocket by not having our insulation. And it's just changing up the wording that made it so powerful. Simply put, humans place a higher value on an object that is scarce and a lower value on those that are in abundance. Think about your inventory, your equipment. If you have 5,000 widgets sitting in the back showroom and you're out trying to move it, you wouldn't tell a customer or a prospect you've got 5,000 of these. You wouldn't say they're not flying off the shelf. No one's buying them. Can I get you to place an order today? The offer only exists for the next 3 years, okay? Here's a simple experiment. I'll prove it a little bit further. People are divided into two groups, giving one group a jar of 10 cookies, another a jar with only 2 cookies. When asked to rate the quality of the cookie, the group with 2 consistently rated the cookies more desirable. These are the exact same cookies, the exact size jar. So then the researchers added a new element. Some participants were first given a jar of 10 cookies, but before they could rate the sample and try it, the experimenters removed 8 cookies so that they saw them take them out and hold them back. So the group first having 10, but were reduced to 2, rated the cookies more desirable than both of the other groups. It's pretty crazy. So what does scarcity relate to? Well, certainly it's quantities, hurry while supplies last. It's dates and times available. I'm only running this offer through the end of this month. If you're not putting proposal termination dates on your proposals, you're not doing yourself a favor whatsoever. If this offer is only good through the end of the month, make sure they know that. This is the only offer that I'm going to send today. It doesn't get this good ever again. Refer back to the Windows thing. We're running a promo. When this dude goes on site and he does the discovery, pitches the products, makes the recommendation, talks about the financing, he says, what I'm going to do, because I'm here and I'm now, it'll never be as good as it is right now. If you call me back out here, I won't be able to offer this. Just so you know, it's not a game. It's how the company works. So this offer only. And then ultimately, it's the takeaway. If you remove something, people go, hold on a second, bring that back. I've been in reseller recruitment situations across the table from a dealership, and they've said to me flat out, this isn't right for us. And I say, okay, understood. It sounds like this could be a waste of both of our times. How about I just pack up and roll on out and you go about your day? And I get the hand that comes out on the table. Now, hold on a second. Now, just wait right there. Let's try and figure this thing out together. So now we're on the same team trying to figure out how to make this work, as opposed to finding ways it won't. Here's a great example. Grandma makes her world-famous double chocolate chip cookies one time a year. Hey, it's tomorrow. And you can stop by between 2 and 4 to pick yours up. The limit is only 5. How many can I put you down for, and what time are you coming by? You've got 5 seconds to think about it before I make the next call. I know it seems silly, but scarcity motivates, so make sure we incorporate that. And sometimes it's real, and we don't share it often enough. We only may have a few items sitting in the back that we have to move. Between me and my 4 reps, we were given this promo this morning. I would imagine by noon, 2 of them will be gone. It's a good fit for you. I thought of you. I called you first. Tell me you want to. There you go. Okay. And finally, remember this, FOMO, fear of missing out. Right now, Prudential Investments are running billboards from Chicago to New York. Crystal was in New York last week, and she saw a big billboard that said FOMO, fear of missing out on retirement. And then I was in Chicago a few days ago, saw the same one. So fear of missing out is FOMO. Okay, keeping along, where we're going to wrap up here shortly. Commitment and consistency. This is cool. Consistency is activated by people looking for and asking for small initial commitments that can be made. That's what it comes down to. And we want to be consistent with the things that we've previously said or done. I mean, there are seriously terribly negative words for people who aren't consistent with their commitments, right? Welcher, liar, they never stand true to their word. So there are consequences for not being consistent with our commitments. So how do we get those commitments out of our prospects and customers? Let me give you an example. Doorbell rings. I answer it. I walk over. Young lady with a clipboard with a shirt on. It's got the company logo on there. She says, hi, my name's Ashley. I'm conducting a quick survey in your neighborhood for the Carmel Arts District on the quantity and quality of fine arts and entertainment offered in our community. Do you have 2 minutes to help me? I'm like, yes, fire away. I love the fine arts. She says then next, perfect, this should be fun. If you had to choose between musicals and plays or concerts or art exhibits, which would be your favorite? And I say, you know what? I love musicals. We go all the time. Ashley says, that's great. I love musicals too. How many times a year would you say you and your family go to musicals? And I say, oh gosh, Ashley, 2 times at least. 2 times. Yeah, in fact, the last one we went to was Jersey Boys. It was pretty cool. And she says, that's a great one. I've seen it too. So you really like musicals and you go at least a couple times a year. Final question. If the Carmel Arts District offered a promotion for neighbors in your neighborhood, which is West Haven, would you be interested in receiving this? I say, I think so. Yes. She says, perfect. Well, then you're in luck. As a way of saying thank you for taking this survey, I happen to have 4 tickets, half off the regular price, for a highly acclaimed local theater group putting on Oklahoma next Friday and Saturday. If you had to pick a day, which one would work best? And I was like, oh gosh, Ashley, you've got me. And I said, I guess Saturday, but I have to check with. And before I could finish my sentence, she blurts out, perfect. Would you like to secure these last 4 tickets? Well, I still have them for Saturday night at 7 p.m. And she got me. She started off by asking if I would help her with the survey. I then went public with my love for musicals. She said, perfect. Tell me about the last one you saw. We worked our way through it, and that's how that works. So a big fan of commitment and consistency. I'll tell you another story here in just a second. But one other example, in a very famous set of studies, people would be very reluctant to put up small wooden signs in their yard to support a Drive Safely campaign. However, in the neighborhood next door, 4 times as many homeowners indicated they would be willing to put up this unsightly billboard in their yard. And why? Let me tell you. Because 10 days prior, they had agreed to place a small postcard in a front window of their homes that signaled their support for a Drive Safely campaign. That small postcard was the initial commitment that led to a 400% increase and a much bigger but still consistent change. So when round 2 happened 10 days later, hey, I noticed you're supporting our Drive Safely campaign. We have these wooden signs we'd like to put up for a few days. Would you be willing to help? How weird would it be for me to say no? I'm only good with postcards. I just do postcards, not like the big cards that people can actually see by their cars when they drive by. So anyways, that was the ultimate goal. Just like with Ashley trying to sell me those tickets, she started off with a survey. Okay, pretty cool. So the key here for commitment and consistency to work are start off with small yeses. Does your situation hurt? Yes. Would you like to hear ways to fix it? Yes. What would it mean to you if I could blank, blank, blank? I'd feel better about that. Thank you. Next, social proof. You guys will love this one. This is called consensus professionally, but it is if your friends jumped off the bridge, would you? I'm not saying I would, but I'd be definitely more likely to. Being a guy who's jumped off of cliffs my whole adult and childhood life, I typically am the first one to go, but the moment somebody else does it, I'm immediately upset that I didn't do it first. But what it says is, hey, bud, you're not alone, right? I'm a little bit concerned. I'm not sure if this works for us. I haven't done business with you guys. I don't know who you are. This would be a product switch. Hey, man, I understand how you feel. Others felt the same way. Here's what they found out. Okay, so this is a technique called feel, felt, found. It lets people know that you're tracking. Here's another way of saying it. I get it. You've been trying to give your current provider or company the benefit of the doubt for what sounds like 2 years, but you're worried you might get the same results with me and my company. And that's exactly what I heard when I first met with Acme Fireworks. And they needed a business solutions partner too, not a copier company. And now after 3 years of fleet management, countless add-ons, and hard numbers for cost savings that makes their IT manager look like a daggum genius, they're featured on our website. So, oh, cool, social proof. All right, Acme Fireworks, similar company, 3 years of this. They were like me as well. You hear this quite a bit. It's a funny one. It's like 50 million Elvis fans, can't be wrong. This was an actual RCA album, what was it, a marketing ploy by RCA in the late 50s to get people who'd never heard of or bought the Elvis album to pick up some more. They had sold 50 million copies already. And they thought, how do we get more people to buy? And they just put on the actual advertisement, 50 million people can't be wrong. So you'll hear that saying every once in a while. So social proof. I would use case studies. Make sure you've got them updated. Have testimonials on your website. or in an email or post them on LinkedIn. And I would also have an arsenal of stories that you can tell as well about similar businesses. It shows that they're not alone. You've been there before. I'm here to help. References, of course, we all know about them. They're strong when they're needed. Glassdoor reviews, people are looking more and more there. If I do business with your company, what are your employees saying about it? Make sure you know where you guys stand on that and peruse through there, and even ask fellow colleagues, hey, man, can you drop something kind of nice about the company and be specific about it? I want to increase the positive reviews that we have inside there. And then ultimately, your online presence. You can show huge amounts of social proof by featuring any one of these things through LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. So the final one there is social proof. All right, to wrap up, guys, liking, reciprocity, authority, scarcity, commitment, and consistency, and social proof. I could probably give you a couple, 3 examples where they were all used together, combined at different times. But I want you to think about these when someone's asking you to do something and what's motivating you to say yes. The tube of toothpaste, it's running out. Why are you more frugal with it? Well, it's because it's scarce. The days of summer are about to conclude here in Indiana. I'm out riding my bike more in the morning and the evening than all summer because I know at the end of next month, the trail will be covered with rain, sleet, and snow. And right now, these pristine trail conditions are going away. So I'm afraid I'm going to miss out if I don't get out there more. So I'm much more compliant. And for me, that's an automatic compliant mechanism that I recognize. So anyway, that's it for me today. I thank you guys for jumping on. Hopefully it's been helpful. Look forward to feedback from you all. I see a couple of hands going up, so I'm going to now switch over and see if I can't find any questions on here.